Fixing this mistake 100% changed the course of my life and my freelance writing business. And if you don't take a few hours now to change the way that you run your freelance writing business, it will quickly run you out of business because you are not putting in the right sweat equity to build that concrete foundation of your business. And it really ends up meaning that you're writing on borrowed time. I'm Mandy Ellis, and I'm a six-figure freelance writer who helped other freelance writers build five-figure months with dream clients without the burnout, stress, and overwhelm. This is the number one thing so that you're no longer writing on borrowed time in your business. Number one thing, you are failing to work on your business. You are drowning in the day to day of your business. So you are failing to actually work on the pieces that run your business, the needle moving activities, the things that make the difference in building a sustainable long-term freelance writing business, and you are drowning in the day-to-day. So you are riding feast and famine. This is very common. You are on the hamster wheel of deadlines. You are saying yes to work just because something has landed into your inbox. You're not actually planning the framework of your business, and this is wasting you a ton of time. It ends up making it so that your day to day becomes a grind and it becomes really difficult to get through. So instead of doing things manually or getting into feast and famine where you're working in and not on your business, and then you're like, oh no, I need to do marketing, I need clients, and then you start panicking because you need to work on your business. You need to get rid of all of the manual stuff. You need to have this nice ebb and flow of your business where you can automate as much as possible, put systems and processes in place that give you your time back and actually save you a ton of hours over the course of your business. And you need to have this nice balance between focusing on high paying work and getting as much as you can with those $0 to-dos as automated or systematized or processized as possible. This is something that I teach my students, is that's how we're getting our mind, or our mind, our work back on track. So we're getting back to that high paying work because we're going through and automating, systematizing, and working on the framework. The framework is flexible and adaptable, but now you have more time to spend on the things that actually make money in your business, like not just the writing, but the marketing and working with clients and handling emails and following up on invoices or following up on pitches or LOIs. So when you ignore these things, what ends up happening is, if you're ignoring these needle moving activities, you are missing out on the diamond clients. You're missing out on the jumbo shrimp clients. You are not going to hit your goals. This ends up making it either this frustrating cycle that you're in, or it takes many, many years to hit the types of goals that you want. And instead of kind of imagining how you want your business to run, putting the framework in place, putting things in, putting processes that you can repeat that get faster over time, that are meant for freelance writers to run more efficient businesses, you're reinventing the wheel. You are letting your work hours spiral to the point where you are working to the time available, not to the time of the task. And this is something I think about all the time, is there's a famous principle where your work will expand to the time available. We don't want that. We want to have processes, systems, and automations, and you can also use AI for a whole bunch of things in your business to take the time back. And I also want to tell you about my student, Catherine, who put this into place. So Catherine had about 20 years of experience as a freelance writer, but she was overwhelmed. She kept getting overwhelmed. She was really struggling for that ongoing success, those top dollar clients, and she really wanted work she was finally excited about. She wanted to get off the hamster wheel. She didn't want to do this infrequent kind of feast and famine, penny pay work from just mediocre, medium clients. And she really, the thing that always strikes me about Catherine is that she really never believed that the business she runs now was even possible for her. That's how far she was stuck in overwhelm and burnout and scarcity. She didn't even believe the business she runs now is possible for her. But after she did a marketing blitz, she earned 4 times more in just 6 months, and she is fully booked with awesome clients and high paying projects that she actually loves. She put in a cutting edge, clear cut roadmap, these strategies, these proven frameworks, so that she can build a business that actually opens up. This is what she said: it opened up a whole new phenomenal world to her. She didn't even know it existed. So this marketing blitz that she did, she put these processes and systems in place to do her marketing, to feed that marketing Tamagotchi, provided work all year long. So not only did she make 4 times more money than she had before in the first 6 months, but she ended up having work all year long from doing this marketing blitz. So if you are someone who wants to learn more about these processes and systems, you want to get your time back, you want to stop wasting your time on the wrong frameworks, I am running a free live masterclass coming up next week. If you go to mandyellis.com/masterclass, you can join. It is called How to Reach 5-Figure Months as a Freelance Writer While Reducing Your Weekly Work Hours in 4 Vital Strategies. So mandyellis.com/masterclass. And I'm going to go through some of the exact things that Catherine learned to grow her business, to grow that income, to work fewer hours, to do that marketing blitz that provided work all year long in that masterclass. So I hope you join me there. It will be live. If you have questions, you can ask me questions there too. Number 2, you can't work enough hours or weekends to outrun a poorly constructed freelance writing business framework. So this is a really important mistake. I really thought that if I just worked harder or I didn't track my hours and I was like, well, I just like it, so why would I track my hours? I'll just work all the time. That poorly constructed business framework really ends up biting you in the butt long term. And this happened with my student, Jenny. So Jenny was completely burned out. She was really riding that hamster wheel, and she was also moving to a new city. So she was a newer freelance writer who was really struggling for sustainability. She was in this kind of burnout, like reoccurring burnout cycle, and she wanted to still have a life instead of always doing her business stuff. So she was really confused about how can I work on these high paying content marketing projects, plus all the essays and the poetry and the journalism and the books that I also like to work on. So this ends up coming from, right, you can't outrun that poorly constructed freelance business. But after she joined my course, Freelance Writer Wealth Lab, just like Catherine, she hit her first 10K month as a new writer. She doubled her last year's income in the first 6 months of the year. She was able to use practical guidelines and tools so that she had better work-life balance. So that meant she was able to work on content marketing projects, plus her creative projects. Plus, she had time for exercise and rest and spending time with family. And she finally stopped panic searching full-time jobs on LinkedIn. So instead of kind of feeding more into the stress and the burnout and trying to do more, which ends up making people spin in circles, this is what happens. You have to break that down. You have to look at the framework pieces, the things that move the needle in your business, right? We can't keep going through this, I have to work more hours, or I have to work the weekends, or letting things expand. Writers end up plateauing. You only have so many hours in the day, and this ends up plateauing because you get used to kind of doing all of this busy bee type of work. But that's not where we're going. We have to work on our business. You have to have a framework that works on your business so that you can get back to the writing part, because the on your business gets smaller and smaller if you have the right system, or the right systems and frameworks in place. And you're not getting caught up in the same cycle over and over again, just like Jenny. So Jenny really is a good example of this because she was able to put these systems in place, and that helped her get to a 10K month with work-life balance, without working all the time, without, feeling like she was constantly in this burnout cycle anymore, or, working tons of weekends or stressing out. Okay, number 3 here. So if you are swamped, if you're a writer who is swamped with work, even if you're swamped, if you don't spend time working on your business, the good news is that you won't have a business anymore. So here's the deal. This is something that I made a huge mistake on. When I was swamped with work earlier in my career, I would not market. I would just get working in my business, writing and writing and writing. And I just never created any schedule space for bigger clients. I didn't actually market ahead of where I was. I was so stuck in the initial 2 weeks or 1 month or whatever kind of time frame where my deadlines were that I didn't pay attention to the next 3 to 6 months. So I failed to plan ahead. And what ended up happening was I just kept getting all these little jobs because that's all the time and space I had available in my calendar. So if you are really looking to build a freelance writing business that actually works, okay, the framework piece is you have to plan 3 to 6 months ahead, and you should have 1 to 5 year goals. Sometimes 5 years feels too far, but what I really want you to have is like, what's attainable recently, which is like 1 year, right? What's attainable sometime in the near future, and what's kind of like your big giant dream stuff. And let's say that's 5 years. But you have to have kind of this balance. So give me a thumbs up if you have ever gotten into this trap that I have, where you're just focusing on your deadlines and you're not planning 3 to 6 months ahead. You're not looking at the work that you have coming in or scheduled for the next 3 to 6 months. Give me a thumbs up. We've all made that mistake. And if you want to learn more about how to fix that, make sure to subscribe. We're going to go over that some more in this video series. But if you don't spend this time, right? If you don't spend this time to plan, you're also missing the gold nugget data. So if you're not planning 3 to 6 months ahead, if you're not looking at the data in your business, your LOI spreadsheet or your pitch data, or the types of clients you have and their revenue and their projects, and like who's responding to your LOIs and who's not, and all of that good stuff, or you just don't know what to look for, you're missing a whole bunch of stuff that will help you build a better business. So I feel like this is something that makes a huge mistake for a lot of newer freelance writers, and even people who have been around the block, who feel like they're plateauing. They're missing all of this data. They're missing at looking at all the markers in their business because they don't build the framework. They just go off and run and have work, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, now what do I do? Like, they're so stuck in the deadline loop that they're missing all these things that could help them build a more profitable, sustainable business without feeling like they're constantly running on the hamster wheel. And I feel like, too, this is really important because I was stuck in this cycle for a while, and this is one of the worst times. So my worst burnout was in 2018. So in 2018, I just said yes to everything. And a lot of those assignments I really did like, but I just didn't understand the framework of my business. So I worked every single day from April to September. I had 2 days off. I worked 10 to 15-hour days every day. And then I took like a week off in late August. And then I ended up having to take the next 3 months off, September through November, to rest up from the burnout. And I was sleeping like 13 hours a night for like 3 weeks because I was so burnt out. So working all that time, I spent all my time, right? 10 to 15 hours a day from April to September. I basically had 9 days off that whole time. I worked every single day. And it really ended up leaving me in this totally exhausted space, emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, I couldn't even remember some of the stuff I turned in. So I would have editors send stuff back to me and they'd be like, fix it. And I was like, I don't even remember writing this. Like, that's how serious it can get if you don't spend the hours up front to fix your framework. You get stuck in this really terrible cycle of burnout where then you can't work for several months, or you feel like you are physically, mentally, emotionally cannot move forward. And that's how I felt. And this was just from taking a lot of $200 to $500 assignments. Like, instead of thinking 3 to 6 months out, instead of thinking about bigger clients, or thinking about like, what happens if I don't make a change, or what happens if I keep doing this kind of like underpaid, out of control kind of life. I never thought about that. I just kept going. Then when I was so burnt out I couldn't work, that's when I started thinking about like, well, maybe I can't keep going in this chaos. Maybe I can't let more time slip by where I'm going back through my schedule and losing control and working all the time. And I just didn't think about putting systems and processes in place. I just thought about like working in the business all the time, doing the writing all the time. And that's not the case. You will have more writing work than you know what to do with if you work on your business, if you create those efficient structures, that efficient framework. So I always think about this too, is like when I built Freelance Writer Wealth Lab, that was for busy writers. It can be for newbies. But a lot of times I get writers who are busy, and it's something that I feel like really helps you reconstruct the busyness of your schedule. So instead of feeling like you have to rush through or get to the next deadline, it teaches you how to organize your day and organize your schedule so that you don't feel pressed by stuff all the time. You actually have schedule flexibility, and you work fewer hours. Like, a ton of my students work 30 to 35 hours a week now. They used to work 60 to 80 hours a week. And this is something that I think you have to pay attention to, or you're going to end up in very serious burnout. Last thing we're going to talk about here, number 4, you can see it through this time. This was something that I questioned so many times, like, well, this time won't be different, or I can't make this change, or my business will be different, or I can't figure this out because it seems so nebulous. It's not. There are very specific in the trenches strategies that I have used and my students have used, and they have been tested by hundreds of students and clients that are giving you the step-by-step process to get faster with these tasks over time. And I'm teaching you in the Wealth Lab, which is going to open up on the 16th. I forget to tell you. So if you go to mandyellis.com/course, you'll be the first one to know when the Wealth Lab opens up. It's opening up on September 16th. It only opens twice a year, September and April. So if you want to check it out, go to mandyellis.com/course. But it's something that I really want you to be able to get faster with stuff over time. You can automate more things. You have a dedicated place to check your data. You have a dedicated place for follow-up. You have organization throughout your business so that you're not constantly searching for where was that spreadsheet or where's that thing, or it teaches you how to put things together so that you're not constantly looking around. And it's also something where we're getting away from guessing. We're giving you clear-cut processes, and it's focusing on those high-paying clients. I'm teaching you how to get diamond clients, how to speak their language with the tuning fork technique, how to wear your new pair of glasses to find more high-paying diamond clients, how to actually get through the cake and icing of your niches so that you know where you can find your best clients, how you can balance your creative work with work that's making maybe content marketing work or content strategy work. But this is something too that I feel like getting those things in place, the plug and play templates, the needle movers, really deeply walking you through the needle movers, like how to construct your website and LinkedIn so you can attract more of those high paying clients. And really getting you to a place where you understand how to feed the marketing Tamagotchi without it taking over your life. Those things were spending time on the right activities. Then by the time you end up getting to the writing work, you're not bogged down in your brain. You feel like you can fully dive into your writing work and get to the creative stuff because you're not all buzzy in the head trying to do all the other business stuff. These things are organized and put in place so that when you sit down to actually type your work, you're clear, you're able to get clarity there, and you're able to move forward and create better work for your clients. And you're not spending all your time cycling through trying to just get the writing done all the time rather than really being able to truly focus on your business, and move things forward and get that time back. So I think a lot of times when we're talking about especially these mistakes that I made, especially the first one that changed the course of my business. When I was failing to work on my business and when I burned out, and that reinforced I need to work on my business instead of working just in my business, that changed the course of my life. I would not have hit six figures in my business if I did not fix that. And unfortunately, I'm the type of person who had to burn out to get there. Hopefully you're not that type of person, but I want to provide something that gives you a framework where we can do this in a sustainable, not crazy daisy kind of way. So I hope that this has been helpful. Next time we are going to talk about more of this not having a plan and working too many hours and how we can kind of fix this path so we can get away from the messy middle and move more towards diamond clients. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope I'll see you in the free live masterclass that's coming up, or the Wealth Lab if you feel like that's the right fit for you. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.